My name is Jess T. Dugan. I'm a photographer who works primarily with portraiture and often within LGBTQ communities. I'm here at the Frost Art Museum because my exhibition, To Survive on This Shore, photographs and interviews with transgender and gender nonconforming older adults, is on display in Miami. In this exhibition, one of my missions is to educate about issues faced by transgender older adults.
Jess is more than on the rise. She's really quite established now as a photographer who has very much a humanitarian view of different communities.
I feel that photography is a very powerful storytelling vehicle, and so I often have my subjects look right out at the camera because I really want the viewer to be engaged in a moment and a relationship with them, and to be met by their gaze and have to think about how they feel being in that situation. I want them to reflect on their own assumptions about the person that they're looking at, and for the act of viewing the photograph to be a really energized, engaged one rather than a passive one. I want them to be in a moment with them and look them right in their eyes and feel this very human connection that I think makes it very difficult to discriminate against someone or to be hateful towards someone if you've really come that close to understanding who they are. I made this project in collaboration with my partner, Vanessa Fabbre, who's a social worker and assistant professor at Washington University in St. Louis, and her research focuses on the intersection of LGBTQ communities and aging. So when we met, we realized we had overlapping interests from working within trans communities, and we decided to create this project that had both the portrait and the interview narrative from each person.
And it is funny because, you know, there's always this conversation in museums about how much text do you want in your text. You should be looking at the work. But I think in this exhibition, the stories, they enhance the work of art. They are a necessary component.
The portraits immediately capture people's attention, but then the stories allow us to talk about some of the other issues, some of the things like housing discrimination or employment discrimination or fear that people have about growing older as a transgender person, or conversely, joys that they experience or triumphs of their life. One of the subjects in the exhibition, Justin Vivian, identifies as non-binary, and she spoke about her decision to take estrogen being motivated in part by wanting to have a medical record of her transness, because she was worried if she grew older and lost her ability to advocate for herself that she would end up being treated as a man. I met Susie and Cheryl a few years ago, and it's been really great to get to know them because there's such love between them and there's such a groundedness and commitment that I think is really amazing.
All we do is go out in public and just be public. Yeah. You know, don't hide, because we're proud of who we are, we love each other. We're not interfering with anybody's lives, we just want to live our life the best we know how. And to show everybody it's okay.
Having their story and reading about how they were together before Susie transitioned, and their marriage has morphed and changed, but they're more committed and in love than ever before, is really beautiful and really exciting, and I think it gives a lot of hope to people who may be struggling with that question. I think there is this focus on youth, and there's not a lot of representations of transgender older adults, and so they wanted to share their stories and provide a kind of roadmap for what a life could look like for younger trans folks who in most cases have never seen an older transgender person. They've never seen an image of what it might look like to grow older. And so I was incredibly moved by the extent to which people wanted to help others by sharing their own story.